More some things to invest. We talk about investing, finance, and professional development for today's items only. The investment gonna talk today will be Ethereum ETH. So it's my second posting as of today. Respect to recording time of 3:25 p.m. on the Eastern time. Ethereum contracted $4,113, up about 6.96% so far. With respect to overall crypto market is extremely bullish today with respect to the leading effort coming from Ethereum and Bitcoin, and also subsequently drag up the whole entire altcoin market, which is typically the subsequent effects that it has stemmed from obviously the main coins that's driving the whole crypto market to go up. In addition to that, on the news front, I would say collectively we have about close to 20 positive news in the last 6 hours so far, ever since my first posting this morning. So some time to get familiarized with yourself and try to catch up of all these news. So let's just go through them chronologically, and we will go through them on a high level. I'm not gonna go dive into each one, but it gives you like a flavor of like what's going on, right? So with respect to the first one, 26 minutes ago, talk about Bitcoin. This how a Bitcoin ETF could spell bad news for MicroStrategy. So with respect to the MicroStrategy, Michael Sayer, he's currently holding a relatively large position in MicroStrategy, right? And with respect to the ETF, it can either be pop the balloon type of buy the rumor, sell the news type of affectation, or it could be the other way around, right? Ultimately, it's quite binary. So with respect to the launch of this exchange, traded funds, it would stir some volatility into the balance sheets of MicroStrategy, which when you see that in the corporate perspective, definitely raise some flags with respect to, the performance on a financial metric perspective. It makes it difficult for obviously the CFO and the CEO, as they are triangulating with respect to the internal financial budget onto operationalizing their long-term and short-term strategic initiatives, right? So, with respect to spell bad news, I think with respect to the surge that we're experiencing right now, obviously their balance sheets has been, inflating and increasing, right, on a daily basis with respect to the surge that we're experiencing so far in the past couple weeks. So it's a good news, a good problem to have. But I can also understand and resonate with, if you're a controller of a business and you're controlling the financial budget, that could be a little bit of a headache. You know what I'm trying to say? So next one on CNBC 1 hour, we'll talk about PIMCO CIO, the Chief Investment Officer, Daniel Ivansak, said that his firm is putting capital to work in cryptocurrencies. So it seems like PIMCO, which is one of the largest asset management company as well, is putting some stamp of approval with respect to cryptocurrencies, right? So this fixed income giants historically has been more, leaning towards the mutual funds, the more stable sides of the investment side of the house. It seems like, based on the corporate adoption so far, they are following in as the other herds of the corporate side of the spectrum. So that's something that's relatively a strong step of approval for obviously investing into Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other altcoins into the balance sheet going forward. So great news for the overall crypto market, if you may. The next one is talking about with respect to a trader named Tudor Jones. He prefers Bitcoin over gold to hedge against inflations. So that's interesting. This is basically a depictions on the CNBC Squawk Box news that happened a couple hours ago. So Tudor Jones, he's a reputable investor, legendary. I would say that could be a fair characterization. Him stepping up and saying this publicly obviously can drive some stir, especially with respect to the positive media affectation we've been experiencing so far already. So this is basically just lighting more fire onto the fire by throwing more gasoline onto it. So the next one is with respect to Bitcoin list. 2 hours ago, talk about bye bye China FUD. US takes over Bitcoin mining. So this is with respect to the sell-off that we experienced, when Ethereum hit like 2,750 because of the China crackdown news, shutting down, mandatorily the 10,000 crypto mines in China. And it seems like with respect to US, taking over and the corporate adoptions, the NFT commercialization, the Jerome Powell stamp of approval saying that they have no intentions of banning crypto. So is Gary Gensler on that support as well. on top of the Bitcoin ETF that's currently being cultivated, it seems like China is no longer the affectation onto the the fear of fear mongering, if you may, right, that we've experienced when we were selling down. So interesting news, but more like just of backwash, if you may, nothing really substantive. The next one is talking about with respect to CoinDesk 3 hours ago, talk about Bitcoin all-time high breaks could target $86,000 as the next technical level. So that's something we have to take us with a grain of salt, right? We ultimately know that this is a news, and news are always old news. So we can always triangulate with our own personal technical analysis by identifying is this the right logical move based on what they're saying versus what we're saying, right? In respect to the other news, another one, 37 minutes ago, Bazinga talked about crypto whales just moved $117.47 million worth of Ethereum off Binance. So it seems like there are a lot of moving activities. And I know some of my friends here on YouTube, on this channel, on the comment section, mentioned that in some of the exchange platform, Ethereum hit $3,700 for like a really brief second yesterday, and immediately got corrected. So it seems like this is something fishy going on. It's comparable to like when polkadot like crashed by 47% in like 5 minutes, and then pretend nothing happened and went back up to a normal level. It seems like there are some fishy activities going on, and there are some whales that are peeking out of the woods. So definitely want to be cautious about it. Next one is on Decrypt 45 minutes ago. Talk about Ethereum Art Collective, Pleasardard. I think that's how you say it. Pleasard. Yeah, I can pronounce it. Review as a buyer of one of the kinds Wu-Tang album. So it seems like more NFT commercialization, with respect to the one of the kind album in 2015. Once upon a time in blah blah blah. I think this is one of the Wu-Tang Clan's music album. I don't really listen to Wu-Tang Clan, but seems like this is driving some hype around this on the media front. And the next one is talking about Polygon becoming increasingly independent from Ethereum as apps numbers rises. So this is more just more of a market metrics news, nothing really substantive. And then the next one is on Bazinga 5 hours ago. Talk about Ethereum founder Vitalik Buterin sells $4.3 million in Dogecoin knockoff. It's called a Baby Shiba and Husky token. And after when he sold the 4.3, it dropped by 60%. Wow, so it seems like there's this some scary stuff. 60% in a couple of days. That's someone's life savings there, right? And then the next one is on the news 5 hours ago. Just keep like the news just keep percolating. Ethereum nears its own all-time high as the ETH price retakes 4,000 mark, which is the level that we at right now, right? Which we'll dive into the technicals, obviously. And then more news just talking about with respect to how much Ethereum has increased by 5 hours within the last 24 hours, and also with respect to Decrypt 6 hours, we'll talk about Ethereum reclaimed 4,000 for the first time since May. And then more positive news talk about on Cointelegraph, Mono X launches Metanex on Ethereum and Polygon. So just a lot of positive news. I think I went through at least 12 to 15 news so far. There's some other news that is talking about basically regurgitating on like how much we've been surging so far. So let's just talk shops real quick and talk straight about the technical analysis right now. Okay, so with respect to the level that we are right now with the 73 out of 70, so again, we're extremely overbought. And based on historical trends, right, whenever our chart hits the $91 out of 70 mark, which we technically still have some room to run up to, if that is the case, right, and let's say we confirm that and we reach all-time high, let's say in the next couple hours or days coming up, that we get to the 4,383, which is technically the historical level, we have a real shot of actually getting way above this, right? And after that, you might ask, like, oh, what level are we going to be selling down to? You have to watch the RSI level on a daily perspective. Whenever we're going to hit or if we even have the enough bullish momentum to do, to the 91, and that's a stretch again, right? We will be testing a way above all-time high from here, because again, we're still at the 73, despite how extremely overbought we're already at right now, right? So you are really gambling and testing your luck if you're buying at this moment, because we don't know how the whales are going to be manipulating or coming in, right? If we're going to keep pumping, we could pump to the 92 out of the 70 mark on the RSI scale, and you see this crazy dragged up. You know, this is not even like a whale back. This is just like a straight up explosion of a mountaintop of a volcano, which is the reason why you see this extremely sharp candle and the subsequent just enormous sell-off days in the subsequent days, right? So I think ideally, you know, for me, I'll just hold because the risk is crazy high right now for my personal tolerance. And again, you could call me like I'm, you know, like why am I being a coward? Why am I scared? I'm just because the setup doesn't look favorable for investors that are thinking in more of a risk averse perspective. Me, I'm just more conservative. I would just take it in more of a risk averse approach. You know, ideally, if we are, you know, betting that will actually reach to 92, I think 6,500 wouldn't be that crazy or out of a reach if we're gonna break all time high. But the first thing we have to do is to get to the all time high first, which technically we are only a couple $100 away. So I think that could be logical. And right now the green candle is like explosive because of the drag effect coming from all sides of the house, on top of media affectation. So something we have to be watching out for. So with respect to Bitcoin, I think the drag effect's even more enormous. And I think with respect to knowing the fact that we did break all-time high right now, we at the 83 out of 70. So again, extremely overbought. And if we gonna test our luck again, right, going to the 90 based on historical charts, 91 out of 70. So we still have some room to run up to. So I think maybe getting to like the 75,000 in near term wouldn't be that crazy, if we're gonna basically revisit history, right, with the same comparable momentum, right? So, but this is definitely, you know, risk is exponentially higher than ever. This is retail investors FOMOing in. Remember, the smart money has already came in, so this is not being pumped by the whales. So that's something you have to be extremely cautious of, right? So respect to Dogecoin, obviously is having that lag effect. Well, lag effects in terms of dollar amount, but in terms of percentage amount, we're surging just right there. We are surging up to the 60 out of 70, and I think ideally, you know, for me, I think going to the 27 would not that logical if we are going to follow the momentum from the main coins. But with respect to the risk level, is still high because it's overbought and we're stretching up and we're forming an outlier right now. So ideally for me, I'll just buy at the 21 and then the 20 cents respectively. Cardano, we are having a lag effect just by how surgy we are. We had the 50 out of 70 with this like, it's relatively mixed bag right now. We just crossed down, we crossed up immediately because of the overall market effect that's dragging it up. That ideally for me, I'll just basically wait until the 210 or the 205, which again, that's the logical level. Solana seems like it's coming true with respect to what we talked about. The surge is definitely confirmed. You could see that cross section that we talked about, and then ideally hitting to the 175, which is the level that we identified per our technical analysis this morning. So we're up about 12% right now. But I think we technically have more room to run up to because we still have some more room to run up to. So, and I'm talking about like the technicals, that with respect to the next ideal level should be somewhere around like the 195 or like close to 200. XRP is basically dragged up by the market, so it's nothing really specifically driven by XRP by itself, to be honest with you. And I think the next level ideally would be somewhere around like the 117, if that's the level we could get to. We are at the 60 out of 70 right now. But ideally for me, I'll just wait until like the 110 and then 101 would be more logical level. Polkadot is being dragged up right now because of the whole market. It has nothing to do with Polkadot by itself. We are forming a crazy outlier right now. We're at the 70 out of 70. So ideally buy at somewhere closer down to the 30 to the $25 level will be more logical. Algorand is doing something comparable, and we saw the golden cross that was forming slowly. We were relatively depleted. So I think Algorand has some room to run up to. to 183, or ideally to even to the 190. $2 would be a stretch because by then you'll be basically close to overbought. But for me, I think ideally I'll just wait until 165 or 160 or 150 would be more logical. Shiba Inu seems like it's just, you know, trending away. We form a death cross, so I think it's being dragged up because of the whole market, not because of Shiba Inu by itself. And then on top of the huge manipulations that we saw with this mega green candle, and we still overbought despite, you know, some minimization of the sell-off. So not the best setup at the moment right now, especially on a mega green day today. So with respect to risk management level, these are the level that I've identified if and when we deplete the RSI and then MACD back to a more of a comfortable level in a more risk-averse perspective, right? When the RSI hits below 35, right? And the sweet spot, that's for myself, right? When we are oversold, that's when I would like to buy. Right now, there's no perfect time for you to invest, right? There's no fear of missing out because the cycle will continue. You know, just think of like your investment vehicle as like a shuttle bus, right? You don't stay on the bus forever, right? You can triangulate by taking a detour, a different bus to get to the same place that you want to be going, right? You could be taking an express bus, you could be taking your local bus. And I think I'm just speaking because I'm from New York and grew up in Hong Kong as well. So taking like metropolitan transportation has always been something that I do. So if you guys don't know what that means, you know, local bus is basically the buses that runs on every single stops. Express buses are basically the ones that skip stops, right? But you ultimately get to the same place that you at, right? But in terms of like the you know, the analogy you try to say is not the perfect analogy, but ultimately we're in the business of risk mitigating, right? We are not chasing, we're not thinking with our feelings, we're thinking logically. So feel free again to use this as your reference. This is not for everybody. This is only my risk aversion management level, and you know, use this for your personal safety if you may, right? Definitely be safe out there. Be careful. Do not chase in because of the fear of missing out feelings, because again, that's not a logical one. And be careful with your money. It's your hard-earned money, so definitely be thoughtful about your next steps. And there's no reason for fear of missing out because whatever goes up really, really fast comes down just as fast, right? So really appreciate you. Hopefully you guys have a great rest of your Wednesday and stay tuned for it to come up. Take care.